Hey everyone, Rob Ryder. It is Monday, March 24th, 2014. As we continue on, discovering that it is all about elections. And electors and candidates in particular, we'll talk about in this part 3. Because by basically, what you want to know, if you go into court, is by what authority, who's ever there, has brought you there. And I'm going to show you, it's very easy to see that the judge is not a judge. He was never elected. And it goes right back to the beginning, although there's many steps that are messed up. But the very first one is he wasn't a qualified registered elector within his election precinct. To end the madness, because we're not either, we need to really figure out how to become a registered qualified elector. And this goes back to the Bible, right? Mary and Joseph were going to Bethlehem, not to pay a tax, but to register. Tax means register. It was registration. It was a census. Now, I'm not talking the U.S. Census. I'm talking about the smallest self-governing territory that there is. And as they turn out, there are these things called election precincts. At least that's what it looks like. And that was kind of what the idea of Thomas Jefferson was when he talked about the ward, W-A-R-D, republics. All things we talked about before. But, we'll look at a few things. The main thing is, I want to show you some things that if you're going into court, you could say, hey, by what authority to bring this charge? You're not a judge. You don't have an oath. You don't have a bond. You weren't a registered elector. You don't have a certificate of election. Yada, yada, yada. Now, you're going to have to go find these pieces of paper, but they're easy enough to find once you decide to look at the election stuff and say, okay, what does it take to be a judge? And it tells you. So, I am Rob Ryder, and my email address is courtofrecord@aol.com. Phone number 616-712-6179. And if you don't get these, whenever I do a video, I send a blurb out that says I did a video. And if you're not getting them, it's because you haven't sent an email to courtofrecord@aol.com and said, add me to the list. I do other emails on occasion, but if you're not getting them, courtofrecord@aol.com, send me an email, put in the subject line, add to email list or add to address book or something like that, or I'll get it. And if you can, donate. My PayPal account is my daughter's name, Ashley Rytlewski, ASHLEY @gmail.com. That is the account name. Or snail mail to Robert Rytlewski, 10955 14 Mile Road, Rockford, Michigan, 49341, because I got to keep the lights on. Certificate of determination. I'm going to show you some stuff here before we're done that Jerry, the guy here in Michigan, got a copy of from the county, and it's far from being correct. And that by itself is evidence that the people on that list, which is pretty much everybody who was elected in the county on the last go-around, isn't holding the office because the certificate of determination isn't done correctly. This stuff I talked about in the last video, so there was one other thing I wanted to find on this sheet, I think it was, that and it appears that we could be in an emergency. Well, I'm sure that we are in an emergency. Now, is it a financial emergency, or what kind of emergency does it need to be to allow Obama to write a executive order? I mean, there have been senators that said that some national, it was 2012, they put in something in that basically, is saying that we're under martial law. And so if that's the case, then a lot of things, they got a little bit different twist on them then. If we're actually under martial law, then it's acceptable that the civil and criminal process has been suspended. And that seems to be the case because nobody seems to be following the laws. When you point them out, they don't even know what the laws are. And so if they're not following the laws, well then we must be in a state of emergency. in a state of emergency, we're under the Lieber Code. Under the Lieber Code, they will leave people in these offices to hold the office. But if they use their office for private gain, they do so at their own peril. At their peril of their life, I think it says. I have to see if we can get to that before we get done here. But so here's what happened. Jerry Stanton went down to get the bonds for the county officers. And it says in the law the bonds are supposed to be with the treasurer. Well, they didn't have them. They said he's going to have to go down to administration to get them, to the county administrator. And he's going to have to pay $54 to get a copy of it. We'll look at them in a minute. He went and got them, and they had just been done 4 or 5 days before. They hadn't been signed by the principal, the guy that they're supposed to be for. I mean, they're not really bonds at all, but number one, what's he going to this county administrator / controller for, unless he is the guy that has been appointed over the local government. So, he could be the emergency manager. If in the judgment of the emergency manager, no reasonable alternative rectifying a financial emergency of the local government, which is in receivership, blah, 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 they can put the local government into Title 11 bankruptcy. If you don't know what the bankruptcy is, that's where we have city managers who don't answer to mayors, and we have county administrators that are doing the functions of the treasurer. And I don't have in this section, but it talks in here that if they go into a contract and have a emergency manager, then everybody else's duties are suspended. They need to get the blessing of the emergency manager before they can do anything. So now, is the emergency manager in the county, is he the county emergency manager who can call out the civil authority? Or is it this county administrator? Right? They're two different kinds of emergencies. However, if nobody's following the law, that's a man-made disaster. And a man-made disaster, like an insurrection, you would take to the county emergency manager, because he has jurisdiction over man-made disasters. So these are things we may be finding out ourselves here shortly, because we don't seem to be getting them to play by the rules whatsoever. Which isn't surprising. I mean, everybody knows that, but, we've been trying some different doors. And it's like, okay, we're going to knock on all the doors, show them the law, they don't follow the law, start telling them, well, then there must be an insurrection going on. And take it to the emergency manager and see what he does with it. So, in the Michigan compiled laws under townships, in MCL, Michigan compiled law 41.3, this is very important, see, because it says the township board or township officer shall not create a debt or liability against the township, or issue a warrant, certificate, or order for payment of money unless the creation of debt or liability or the payment of the money has been authorized by a vote of the registered electors of the township or by law. Okay, if there's no registered electors, then who can tell the township treasurer to pay the bills? If the township treasurer doesn't pay the bills, there could be a $5 bill that gets to become a court case, that gets to become a lien, which gets to be a lien against all the real and personal property in the township. So, there's no registered electors. Nobody can tell the township treasurer to pay the bill. I can go in today and say, hey, go pay the bill. You don't have to listen to me. I'm not a registered elector. Now, these townships aren't the townships we see. Of course, everything is not what we see. It's, we're looking through a prism. It's off to the side someplace, but it's behind the glass, but it's still there. A township should be your precincts. in my township, which is 6 by 6 square, go back and look in history, there were a number of district schools within the township. District 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. Each of those were a district. And so the school district was the number of square miles around that school where the kids within that area went to that school. I think we had 4 district schools within this 6 by 6 area, right? So they were one-room schoolhouses, right? But that's a school district. Not this conglomeration where you got 5 or 6 schools and a high school and so forth, right? That's a statutory school district, I guess. I mean, a school district is a school, like a grade school, and the territory around it that brings in the kids to go to that school. So when I say township, I'm not sure that the township is when you drive down the road, see a township hall building. I don't think that's what it is. And they don't want to tell us. So, and there's more about the Title 11 being government is, the local government can be a school district. So, now onto the good stuff. Let's see here. Let me get rid of that one. Certificate of determination. Okay, now why do we want to tell them to pay the bills? Okay, let's look at that. If you go to YouTube and put in Rim of the World on a search, and you find this thing that says CAFR School, Schools and Lottery. There's another one, CAFR School, shorter. I mean, the one's 3 hours, the other one's two hours. But the guy really goes through what a CAFR audit is, right? The paperwork, and that's what this is, right? It's 131 pages as he's going through, so it takes him a while to go through it in the video. But I don't even know if I watched the whole thing, and I'm not even going to try to explain it the way he did. What I want to point out is, what it said on the paperwork, right? So, and it said this in the CAFR account. This is part of the conversation about the CAFR account for this particular school district. The $4 million and change in unregistered or unrestricted net assets of government activities, which is an increase of $375,000 basically over the prior year, represents an accumulated result of past year's operations. It means that if we had to pay off all of our bills today, if we had to pay off all of our bills today, everything, pay off all the bills, including all of our non-capital liabilities, we would have $61 million remaining. Well, what does a school district need to have $61 million in the bank after all bills are paid? Right? Somebody should go in there and say, hey, you don't need to have any more money. The problem is we're not registered electors, so we can't tell them, hey, you don't need any more money. The system is set up now the way it is, and unless we're a registered elector, we can't change it. Except by law, right? So this is where you say, well, by what authority are you doing this? Because as it turns out, the people elected to these school boards aren't registered electors. They're not holding the office. Nobody is holding the office. There isn't anybody holding the offices at these levels. Now, I'm hoping that at some level there's somebody holding an office. But as we're going to see, most people, county level and lower, they're not holding the office. But this place here is running around with $61 million more than it needs. Now, if you were the registered electors in this school district and you went in and said, well, we vote to return all that money to the taxpayers. All in favor? Aye, right? However many it takes, aye, yeah, do it. Then they would have to go ahead and pay, put the money, give the money back. Here's another one. At June 30, 2012, the carrying amount of the district's deposits, including student activity funds, which include both cash and certificates of deposit, totaled $81 million. This school district has $81 million sitting in the bank. What does a school district need $81 million for? Right? Because it's well, we can go with this one. Total capital assets, net, right? Net means after all bills, this is what the net is. They got $124 million in capital assets. I don't know if it gives well, the other assets, and I'm not going to go through it to find it, but as you can see, they got $81 million sitting in the bank. Well, it doesn't seem like, they should need that, in my opinion. So, what else was there? Oh. So then, I don't have a charter for those school accounts, or those school boards, but those school boards would have bylaws. A bylaw, by means town, can mean town. Town laws. They're considered towns. All right, so they would have to have a charter to exist, town law, just like this charter to, this is to Glendale, Arizona. And just real quick, we'll look at a couple things that, at least to me, are of interest. Let's see, where does it say qualifications? Numbers, term, qualifications. The mayor shall be at least 25. Election, mayor, council members shall be qualified electors of the city. Right? Now in Arizona, that means you went to the city, to your ward within the city, and you did a affidavit of registration. And an affidavit means it's something you swore to, right? Not just something that I declare. No, you would, an affidavit, by definition, is an oath rendered to writing, sworn to before a proper officer. So just because it says it's an affidavit doesn't make it one. You would have to swear to it before a proper officer to make it an affidavit. Right? And you would do this with a particular form, and that would make you a qualified elector. And this says the mayor and so forth has to do it. But when you go down and ask in these offices for the book that has this stuff in, they don't seem to know what you're talking about. Council to be the judge of qualifications of its members. The council shall be the judge of all of the election and qualifications of its members, and for such purposes shall have power to subpoena witnesses, require the production of records, but the decision of the council in any such case shall be subject to review by the courts. Right? So you could go to a town meeting and say, hey, you guys need to go pull out the books to show me you're a qualified registered elector. I don't believe you are, and if they're not, they have no more jurisdiction than the guy at the taking your order at McDonald's. Oh, where did it talk about this? Okay, so consideration of citizens' request. Any citizen of the city, we'll stop there, right? If you want to have, may appear before the council in regular meeting and present a request. If you want to make a request, you need to be a citizen of the city. Well, where's your certificate of citizenship? How do you know you're a citizen of the city? Right now, we're all citizens of the United States and of the several states. Right? We're not a citizen of the United States in a particular state. And you become that by registering in your local precinct. Okay, city manager. All right, so here we're talking about city managers. City manager shall be the chief executive officer and head of the administration department of the city government. So he's the chief executive officer of the government. He's like the governor. He's responsible for the proper administration of all affairs of the city, and at the end, subject to the provision of this chapter, he shall have power required to blah, 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 blah. But basically, he doesn't have to answer anybody. He is the chief. The mayor is just a figurehead. Now, the mayor should be a justice of the peace. And if he's out marrying people, he is a justice of the peace. Now, can you get him to use his power of a justice of the peace to take your complaint? Well, you have to go ask him. City clerk, city treasurer. I wanted to find this thing on taxes. Where was that at? Okay, here we go. Cash basis fund setup. Transfer funds from cash basis fund to other funds. The council may by ordinance create and maintain a permanent revolving fund to be known as the cash basis fund for the purpose of putting the payment of the running expenses of the city on a cash basis. For this purpose, the council may provide that from the money collected from the annual tax levy and from monies received from other sources, a sum equal to and not less than 2 1/2 cents per on each $100 of assessed value of said property shall be placed in such fund until the accumulated amount of such fund shall be sufficient to meet all legal demands against the Treasury for the first 4 months or other necessary period of this succeeding fiscal year. That's all they need to have is 4 months of money in the bank. Right? They don't need to have $80 million in the bank. They need to have, in this case for this city, 4 months in there. And further up, that was one of the jobs of the city manager, is he's supposed to make a very detailed budget for the next coming year. So they would have that and say, okay, we need to have $10 million. We'll say $12 million. $1 million a month to run the city. So they got to have $4 million in the bank. That's all they need to have, $4 million in the bank. Right? They don't need to have any other funds. They don't need to have anything else. They just need to pay their bills. Right? Right now, all these other accounts and funds they have are all part of the CAFR account system to take the money out of your pocket. And if you want to stop that, we need to become qualified registered electors. Okay, hang on a second here. Okay, so Jerry went down to his county and he got this, asked for the certificate of determination. This is something the Board of Canvassers are supposed to put together, and this one says, the Board of Canvassers of the County of Branch, having ascertained and canvassed the votes of the various cities and townships of the general election held on Tuesday, the 6th day of November 2012. And it goes through all these, right? That Kirk, he got enough to be the probate judge, and Ralph, he got sufficient to be elected as a prosecuting attorney, and John is the sheriff, Terry's the county clerk, treasurer, register of deeds, drain commissioner, blah 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 blah, right? But there's nothing else on the paper. That's all there is, just a list of people, and it stops. Then it goes on to this road patrol millage. Talked about this. See, they got this thing filled out with nice numbers, how many votes there were. Right? Are they supposed to have the number of votes that each guy got? Because they know what they are. They counted them. Why did they put the number of votes? We'll have to go and see if that's one of the criteria. But this was defeated. And so they put a certification on here, right? Road Patrol millage proposal. Road Patrol millage proposal. There it is. There's the counts. Now we're going to talk about it. Is defeated. And here's the certification. We have hereunto set our hands and fixed the seal, blah, 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 blah. Right? This road patrol proposal has nothing to do with this, with the certificate of determination. The certificate of determination should be a certificate, which means it should have a certification on it, like this, where it says, "In witness whereof we have hereunto set our hands and to fix the seal of the Circuit Court of the County of Branch." Now, everybody's name is on there, it looks like, but there's no seal. Right, so even that part's done wrong. Here's the year before, 2008, certificate of determination. Blah, 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 blah. Nothing. Now we're going to have a millage proposal for Branch County Commission on Aging millage proposal. Nothing. And then we're going to have another page that says that this is for the Branch County Commission on Aging millage proposal. Another certification. These weren't certified, right? The certificate of determination hasn't been certified, therefore it has no standing. And anybody on here that it says was elected isn't elected. Right? There's no evidence to prove these people are elected because the Board of Canvassers didn't certify the election. So, the county clerk of each county, which alone constitutes one or more senatorial representative districts, upon suitable blank forms furnished by Secretary of State, transmit mail without delay to the Secretary of State a copy of such certificate of determination certified by said county clerk under his hand and seal of his office. And the said county clerk shall at the same time report to the Secretary of State the post office addresses for each person elected in said county, to any county office, or to the office of state senator, representative, legislature. This thing about this post office address is going to be interesting too, because, right, they didn't say mailing address, they said the post office address. Not street address, not residence, they said the post office. What the hell's a post office address got to do anything? Now, judges of the circuit court, of which, all right, Bill O'Grady, sufficient number of votes to be elected a circuit judge. Yeah, but that was by the county. And it's the Board of State Canvassers that does the office of the judge of the circuit court. It's Bill, man. We found all sorts of things on Bill. Bill, you're not even close to being a judge. You step down today, brother, before you do yourself any more harm. Judge of the district court by the state canvassers. County officers. The Board of County Canvassers shall determine which candidates for the offices of this other section receive the greatest number of votes and shall declare such candidate to be duly elected. Okay, so they just need to determine which one had the greatest number of votes. The said board shall forthwith make and subscribe on its statement of returns a certificate of determination and deliver the same to the county clerk within 14 days following the date of the election. So they're supposed to have done this on a thing called the statement of returns. And again, that isn't what they did. They made up a separate sheet of paper called a certificate of determination, where they were just supposed to put the certificate of determination on this, subscribed on the statement of returns. Alright, so whatever the statement of returns looks like, I haven't seen one, I don't know, but, you know, they should have put some little blurb like this, I guess. In witness whereof, we are hereunto set our hands, fix the seal, right? Signed it, yeah, and put the seal. There is no seal. Now I have to think about this. Why is it we have hereunto set our hand and affixed the seal of the circuit court of the county of Branch? Why are these guys, who are the county canvassers, how is it that they have the seal of the circuit court of the county? And the only reason I guess it could be is because the county clerk, well, we have to guess this is the county clerk because I can't read her name. I'm as clerk of the Board of Canvassers. Normally they're supposed to put your name under here too so we know who you are. Print your name, sign your name, put your title. Anyways, so this said for these offices in 191. Okay, so this is all out of the Michigan compiled laws, but it's the election code, right? County officers election code. A person should not be eligible to the office of county clerk, county treasurer, register of deeds, prosecuting attorney, sheriff, drain commissioner, surveyor, or coroner if the person is not a registered and qualified elector of the county in which election is sought by the filing deadline. So even though we're each going to be registered and qualified within this small little precinct, it is part of a larger district of land or territory of land called a county. So if you want to run for one of these offices in the county, you can. You just need to be qualified registered elector in one of the precincts. And nobody is. They don't know what these books are. The Board of County Canvassers shall determine and declare result of election for county and local officers in all county and local ballot questions. If a state senatorial representative, okay, forget that. Unlike, upon making the determination under this section, the Board of County Canvassers shall prepare a certificate of determination and deliver the properly certified certificate of determination to the county clerk. Well, they didn't do that. They didn't do it. So none of these people have been elected. There's no evidence to show that any of these people are elected. Nobody will swear to it. It didn't happen. Right? By what authority did they bring this charge? Show me that you're elected. Show me your certificate of determination. Now, the other thing is that upon receipt certified certificate of determination from the board, county canvasser, subject, the county clerk shall file the certificate in his or her office. No reason for him not to have it. None whatsoever. And then the county clerk shall immediately execute and deliver to the persons declared elected a properly certified certificate of election. That's the other one to ask for, not just the certificate of determination. Okay, fine. You say these people elected, fine. Show me their certified certificate of election. And to be certified, it's going to have, some kind of statement, in witness whereof we have hereunto set our hands and affixed the seal of the circuit court of the county of Branch. Blah, 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 blah. And put the seal on it. And it ain't there. They ain't elected. So, did the county clerk give these people a certified certificate of election? Certificate of election, the county clerk shall file in his office, preserve the original statement of determination of the Board of Canvassers as a result of election, and immediately execute, cause, and deliver persons declared elected in section 200. Where was 200 at? 191. Well, in 191 we had these people, county clerk, county treasurer, so forth. Who was it in 200? Same thing, same people. Why is that? Okay. Original statement and determination of the Board of County Canvassers of the results of the election, and shall immediately execute and cause to be delivered to the persons declared elected to the offices named in section 200 a properly certified certificate of election, certified by him or her under the seal of the county. If they can't produce a certified certificate of election under the hand and seal of the clerk of the county, they're not holding office. The county clerk may cause a copy of the certificate of determination together with the statement of the votes, blah, blah, blah. Okay, who are they talking about? A county clerk, a county treasurer, register of deeds, prosecuting attorney, sheriff, drain commissioner, right? Which they can't do it unless it's been done. So I don't know how the clerk is going to certify anything, because the clerk is on the list that hasn't been certified that she was ever elected. And we got these people called county auditors they got to do some research on. Auditor is, the Pope talks to auditors. Auditor, an officer of the court assigned to the state the items of debit and credit between the parties in a suit where accounts are in question, and exhibit the balance. Under the Rules of Civil Procedure in many states, the term master is used to describe those persons formerly known as auditors. Formerly can mean properly known as an auditor. They're called a master. Okay, well, they had masters of chancery. We used to have masters in chancery here in Michigan. They got rid of them. They got rid of the title, but now we have auditors. Except when you go online now, if I go online and try to find Kent County auditors, you can't find anything on them. Yeah, here it talks about there being a board of county auditors. The board of supervisors of any county of the state, except in such counties where provisions are hereunto set made for the creation of the office of county auditor, or board of county auditors, may upon majority vote, right? So you can have a county auditor or a board of county auditors. Auditor, the designation of certain officials of the Roman Curia whose duty it is to hear and examine causes submitted to the Pope. They cannot, however, give a decision unless they receive delegated jurisdiction. They are therefore not judges in the strict sense of the term. These officials have been part of the Roman Curia since the Middle Ages. Right? So, whose duty it is to hear and examine the causes submitted to the Pope. So, right, we're trying to get to the county ordinary in the circuit court for the county of Branch, in Chancery, to the judge. Well, it could go to his auditor first to have them hear and determine, hear and examine the cause, right? Examine it for probable cause. Yep, got it. And then take it to the judge. Right? This is like the holding the position of a justice of the peace that you would lay your complaint before, and they would say, yep, you have probable cause, you gave us evidence, yep, there's probable cause, boom, take it to the judge, get the judge to issue the warrant. So, okay, hang on a minute. Okay, now a few of the other things you can look for while you're down there. Now, all these were, in one way or the other, tied to different offices through the election code or through the compiled laws of Michigan, right? So, one thing is, if you want to run for a judge, you need to put in a thing called an affidavit of candidacy. This is what it looks like. All right, so if they ran for office, well, where's their affidavit of candidacy? You really want to go get it, because what we want to see is if by chance somebody has actually done this right, we want to see how they did it. Okay, but it's called an affidavit of candidacy. Do they have one? They also need to put in an affidavit of identity. Right, and that's what this looks like. Right, so again, these are affidavits, right? It's a scribe sworn before me, notary public, going to put a seal on it. All right, this will be an affidavit when it's done. So, affidavit of constitutional qualifications. All these are required to run for office, and for many different offices. And so, because our main issue is normally right now dealing with a judge, or maybe dealing with the county treasurer because it's tax time. Well, are they holding the office to charge you with anything? Right? right, go down and see what kind of paperwork they got. Even the school board. Now, school board, this is the only one I've seen so far that actually has an acceptance of office on it. Most of them, they don't have an acceptance of office, and then along with the oath of office on the same form. I haven't seen any other acceptance of office in Michigan except for this one on the school district, and that on the school board. That has to mean something. But then again, within 5 business days after certification of a school board election, the school district's election coordinator is required to issue a certificate of election to each elected candidate. Go ask the people in your school board, you got a certificate of election? If not, they're not elected. There is no school board. Office has been vacated. So, anyways, just all different things you can go look for in that would really be helpful if people did, who have some extra time and can get down and take a look at some of this stuff and like to research. Here's stuff to research, man. Go find out if they got the paperwork. Here's one more. Enough on that for a minute. This is when there's a court case going on in Michigan, they have 4 things that the clerk is supposed to maintain. A registration of actions, which replaced what we would call a docket, a numerical index, an alphabetical index, and then the case file. And so Jerry was nice enough to go down and ask for these things for his case, and this really blows me away. I want you to look at this real close, right? This is the address of the court. Branch County, 15th Judicial Circuit Courthouse, Coldwater, Michigan. Look at the zip, the +4 is 0000. The courthouse has a +4 of 0000. Because, like, we know the postmaster, I think, is 9998, something like that, right? Well, the post office has 0000. Now, by where they're located on a map, they may not have been 0000. You would think the post office would be 0000. But it isn't. It's the courthouse. Now, Roe got a arrest warrant and got a copy of it after she had already been arrested. She finally got a copy. Wasn't done properly. Showed it in other videos. Don't even have her right zip code because her town has 2 different zip codes. But it doesn't matter. At the end of the zip code is 0000. So I'm thinking if they print something out and they put that zip code, even if it doesn't show, if it's down on the barcode, it doesn't matter what the address is, it's going to go to the post office or to the courthouse. And that's where your address is for your legal person. Rutluski, Robert Allen has got a frickin' address at the at the courthouse. Somebody changed our frickin' our zip code. And it's quite easy. All they needed to do was have power of attorney. Right? What you could have gave them by signing a piece of paper in their mind. Okay, well, yeah, we got power of attorney now. Let's go ahead and change the zip code. Everything else could be the same could be correct on your address. 10955 14 Mile Road, Rockford, Michigan 49341. Should be 8664. But if it isn't, if it's 0000, and the system is just set up, if you read in the barcode +4 of 0000, send it to the courthouse for that county. Now, what Roe found out, interesting, because her zip code, her zip code itself was incorrect. They have 2 different zip codes in the city. But she found out hers is really just a feeder off of this other one that her arrest warrant had for the zip code. That's like the main one. Hers is a feeder, and there's actually another one I believe out of town that's a feeder. Right? They got three post office zip codes, but one of them is the controlling one. And on her arrest warrant, it had that controlling zip code and 0000. That's very interesting. So another piece of paper they had on there is this went the wrong way. Damn it. Okay. This is a copy of the case register of actions for this case. And I don't want to show on this. This has the defendant as being the tax sale. That's interesting. So they put this back in June of 2013. And at the time they put in summons and complaint, petition for foreclosure, order sent to judge for signature, set next date 4/2/2014. They put it in, and they weren't going to do anything to 2/2014. Now they did put in some an amendment. Jerry put in some paperwork, so forth and so on. Proofs of personal visit filed. Okay, show me the proof. Proof of service file. See, some of this stuff is in upper lowercase and some of it isn't, right? So some of the things they were supposed to do is proof of service, that these things were actually served. Affidavit of service, notice of show cause hearing, and judicial foreclosure hearing filed. Why is that in uppercase? Well, I'll tell you why. I think if is it on here? Where's the case number? Okay. So there's the case number. All right, hang on just a second here. Okay, what I wanted to show is this is the petition they're talking about. Look at this file number, 13-06-0340-CZ. When we look at this, it's 13-06-0340-CZ. 06, it should be 060340. That's where Jerry thinks he's going to court. But this petition is put in under 1306. There is no 0. They put a dash. 340CZ. It's a different frickin' case number. It's a different file number. Right? Stored someplace different than everything else that has to do with this court case. Because his court case is 13-06-0340. But not the petition. And so I'm going to go through this petition with the tax law and show all sorts of things in a video here shortly. But one of the things you need to know is if you have a foreclosure for taxes, there should be a certificate of unpaid taxes. Where's the certificate of unpaid taxes? That's what you want to know. Where is the certificate of unpaid taxes? Because what they do, when you read what it says they're supposed to have, right? They're supposed to have a list of unpaid taxes on your form. I won't spend too much time on this because I don't make this too long. But it doesn't say unpaid taxes. It says base tax. Right? None of these headings are proper compared to what it says in the law is supposed to be there. You know, what is a base tax? There really isn't anything on there. I mean, you can look up base tax. Most things you find are talking about military bases. They use a base tax in a traditional base tax in Ohio for school stuff. Go figure. But if you just take the word base, base means inferior. It's an inferior tax. So, anyways, more on this later and more on the election stuff later, but I really wanted to point out, because I know people have court stuff that they need to deal with. You need to look at the election stuff to see that these people are elected, because they're not. If they're not elected, you need to tell them, you're not elected, man. You got no standing to tell me to do anything. And in Michigan, it looks like we're supposed to take this stuff to the probate court, and that's what we're trying right now, is to get it into the probate register, because do I have that on here? I don't think so. Yeah, maybe right here. Judge of probate. They get elected in the general nonpartisan primary election. Right? They got to do a nominating petition. Where's their nominating petition? All these different things. Where's the affidavit of candidacy? See, all these things, when you start looking at what it takes to be a judge, again, this is out of the election code. 168's election code. So it's in there. It says these are the things they have to have. Domiciled. Love that word. He's domiciled. But where's his affidavit of candidacy? We're trying to become domiciled. That means you're a registered qualified elector within your county. I wanted to see if this had the duties. I can't remember if this one had the duties or not. No. Oh well. Okay. Listen, that's enough. You got to taste what's going on. I'll have to watch this and see what I missed and do it on the next one. But we'll leave it at that, and y'all have a great night.